Henry Winkler, the man who made the world laugh and cry, who overcame dyslexia, glamour, and prejudice to become an icon of kindness, now faces a pain that no role can soothe. Whether immortalized as the cool Fonzie on TV, or the warm, caring grandfather in real life, his heart is like everyone else's, vulnerable to loss. And this time, it's not a fictional scenario. This is real life, and it's heartbreaking news. Do you know about his inspiring story and the hardships he went through? If yes, leave a 1, if not, comment a 0. I would love to hear your thoughts on Henry Winkler's journey. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to enjoy the video and subscribe to support the channel, helping me continue to share more meaningful stories. Henry Winkler's parents fled Nazi Germany but couldn't escape calling their son a dumb dog. His childhood was filled with shame. School was torture. He couldn't read well or understand math. Then came Hollywood. He could barely ride the motorcycle that made him famous. His relationships with other actors weren't what they seemed. Strange decisions by TV executives changed his life forever. The truth about what really happened to Henry Winkler will break the hearts of millions. Henry Winkler was born on October 30th, 1945 in Manhattan. His parents escaped Nazi Germany in 1939. They left everything behind. His uncle did not survive. He was delayed and killed in the Holocaust. That tragedy never left the family. It was like a shadow over Henry's childhood. His father had rebuilt their lumber business in New York. His mother worked there too. They believed that security came from money and education, but Henry didn't fit into their plans. School meant nothing to him. He tried hard, but nothing seemed to work. His grades were terrible. His parents didn't understand why. They called him a stupid dog when he failed. They took away his TV, wouldn't let him go outside, punished him over and over again. He wasn't lazy. He just couldn't figure out what was wrong. His home wasn't peaceful either. His parents fought constantly. Loud arguments filled their home. Henry felt small. He felt like he could never do anything right. By the time he entered high school, he was deeply ashamed. He believed he was stupid. No one knew he was dyslexic. He couldn't read well. He couldn't spell. Math was a nightmare. Teachers sent him to the corner. Classmates laughed when he stumbled over his words. He never told anyone how much it hurt. He didn't know he had a real condition. He didn't find out until he was 31. His own son was diagnosed first. That's when Henry finally understood. It wasn't his fault. Then he said, "I'm not stupid. I have something to do with that name." That moment changed everything. It explained why school was always so hard, why he had to memorize things instead of reading. But even before that, there was something inside him that refused to give up. At 14, he made a decision. He wanted to be an actor. His parents didn't like it. They wanted him to join the family business. But acting felt different. When he stepped on stage, the shyness disappeared. He no longer felt out of place. In 8th grade, he played Billy Budd in a school play. People applauded. For the first time, he didn't feel broken. That applause stayed with him. He kept chasing that feeling. He memorized scripts better. He found ways to hide his reading difficulties. In high school, he joined discussions to avoid writing assignments. He knew how to show off even in class. His charm became his shield. He didn't stop after graduating. He applied to 28 colleges and was accepted into only 2. One of them was Emerson College in Boston. He chose Emerson and studied theater, just in case he also studied child psychology. He nearly flunked out of his first 2 years, but something clicked on stage. He starred in Pure Gynt. His teachers saw what the regular classes didn't: real talent. He joined a fraternity, made friends, and gradually built up his confidence. He graduated in 1967. Years later, the same school awarded him an honorary doctorate. That same year, he was pursuing something bigger: Yale School of Drama. It was a long shot. The audition was tough. He had to do Shakespeare. But when the time came, his mind went blank. He forgot all his lines. Then he did something daring. He improvised. He made it up on the spot. Somehow it worked. The judges saw his raw talent. They accepted him. It was the break he needed. At Yale, the pressure was intense. Scripts were difficult. Reading them took days, but he kept going. He used his memory and instincts. If he forgot something, he would improvise confidently. Teachers didn't mind. Classmates admired his energy. He later said he never read a script exactly as it was written. He just did what worked. In 1970, he received his master's degree in fine arts. Of the 25 actors, only 11 finished the program. He was one of them. That same year, he was selected for the Yale Repertory Theater. Only 3 students got that opportunity. He earned $173 a week. The performances were intense and demanding. Shakespeare breed, modern plays, experimental works. He played everything. He worked tirelessly. It became the perfect training ground. Even then, his dyslexia was still hidden. He had to prepare harder than anyone else. What others read for hours, he took days to memorize. When scripts didn't work, he made things up. He was so good that no one knew. When he later performed in Neil Simon plays, he requested scripts months in advance. That was how he coped. In the fall of 1971, Henry Winkler thought his big break had finally come. He had just finished a steady run at the Yale Repertory Theater, earning $173 a week, and had been cast in Moonchildren at the famed Arena Theater in Washington, D.C. But what started as a dream turned into a nightmare. After just 3 weeks of rehearsals, director Alan Schneider fired him. The reasons were profound. Winkler had never intended to stay. He was just a stand-in until the director's favorite actor came along. Winkler was stunned. He later said it felt like his brain had turned to cream cheese, and the director's words sounded like they came from far away. Heartbroken, he loaded the snow tires back into his car and drove back to New York City, crying all the way. The lonely ride home wasn't just about losing a job. It was about losing faith. He kept thinking that maybe he wasn't good enough. Maybe he'd never act again. But Winkler wasn't ready to give up. Back in New York, he came up with a plan. If serious theater work wasn't enough to pay the bills, then maybe commercials could. Between 1971 and 1973, he landed about 30 commercials. It wasn't glamorous, but it gave him what every actor needed: a steady income. With that money, he joined the Manhattan Dramatic Club, and he did free shows on stage. It wasn't about the money anymore. It was about getting better, staying in the game, proving something to himself. At the same time, he joined an improv group called Off the Wall New York. It was a smart move. Advertising gave him freedom. The stage gave him credibility, and improv helped him grow in ways that a script never could. Together, it helped him grow in every direction. Then he got his chance on Broadway. On March 11, 1973, Winkler stepped onto the Broadway stage in a play called 42 Seconds from Broadway. For most actors, that moment would be unforgettable. But this one was unforgettable for all the wrong reasons. The play opened and closed on the same night. Just one performance. All the hopes, all the effort, all the dreams built over years. gone for less than 24 hours. Winkler made a promise to himself that night. He would make it right one day. He wouldn't let one night of failure become his story. That same year, he began his foray into film. He landed a role in The Lords of Flatbush, a real-life story about Brooklyn players set in the 1950s. Winkler played Butchie Weinstein, and one of his co-stars was the then-unknown Sylvester Stallone. The low-budget film gave him screen time and experience. Around the same time, he landed a role in Crazy Joe, playing a character named Manny. These weren't Hollywood blockbusters, but they were important. They gave him a new direction. He still struggled with auditions, especially cold reads, because of his undiagnosed dyslexia. But he learned to maneuver. He found his own way of understanding the script and expressing emotion. The jobs kept coming because people could see his raw talent hidden behind a quiet but undeniable nervousness. That summer, something unexpected happened. His agent kept pushing him to go to Hollywood. Winkler didn't think it was for him. He considered himself a New York actor stuck with stage work, but finally he agreed to try Los Angeles for a month just to test the waters. He used his advertising money to fund the trip and brought his friend Perry King along for support. They landed in LA on September 18, 1973. Within 5 days, everything changed. Winkler landed a guest role on The Mary Tyler Moore Show. It was a small role, but it aired on one of the most popular shows in the country. That moment opened doors. Auditions followed. Interest grew. Suddenly, Hollywood wasn't so far away anymore. The first role as an awkward dinner guest led to a second audition, and the second audition was for Happy Days. The role had only 6 lines. He wasn't what the creators were looking for. They wanted a tall, blonde, handsome guy. Winkler was 5'6", dark-haired and nothing like that. Still, he was called back for another audition. On October 30th, his birthday, he walked into the room, put on a leather jacket, changed his voice, read his lines, then threw the script in the air and walked out without saying another word. Everyone in the room just stared. Later that day, he got the call. The part was his, but he had a request. He didn't want to just play the cool guy. He wanted to prove that the character had heart. That daring audition not only got him the job, it changed television history. When Happy Days premiered in January 1974, Winkler's Fonz was supposed to be a supporting character. And in the very first episode, the script called for him to stand in front of a mirror and comb his hair like any other 1950s car guy. But Winkler thought that was too obvious. So as the cameras rolled, he raised the comb, looked in the mirror, nodded like a king, and put the comb away. His message was clear. Fonz didn't need to fix his hair. It was perfect. The producers protested, but Winkler stood his ground. That little move became the essence of Fonz's charm. Quiet, confident, and effortlessly cool. It was the moment that instinctively transformed the character from a supporting role to a star. But that cool image was almost never recognized because of one thing: his jacket. The network feared that putting Fonz in leather would make him look like a criminal. So for the entire first season, they made Winkler wear canvas jackets, including a bright green one that looked completely wrong. Gary Marshall, the show's director, had an idea. He convinced ABC that Fonz could wear leather, but only when he was near his motorcycle for safety reasons. So Marshall started putting Fonz's motorcycle in almost every scene. Sometimes it made no sense, but it worked. By season 2, the leather jacket had become permanent. It became so iconic that in 1980, Winkler donated one to the Smithsonian Institution, where it remains a fixture of American pop culture. But the bike came with a secret. Henry Winkler couldn't ride it, not even a little bit. In fact, he was terrified of bikes. He only rode it uphill once for 17 seconds, and that was it. One day on set, they asked him to move the bike just a few feet. Because of his dyslexia, he couldn't figure out the controls. He turned, the throttle couldn't find the brake, and sped forward. The camera crew swerved out of the way. He and his bike slid under a truck. The producers rushed over not to check on him, but to see if the rental bike was damaged. Then they came up with a trick. They put the bike on a wooden plank with rubber wheels and pulled it around like a toddler in a stroller. Ironically, the bike itself had a famous past. It was the bike Steve McQueen used in The Great Escape. Back when Happy Days began in January 1974, Fonz was never considered a star. In the first episode, he had only 6 lines. Richie Cunningham, played by Ron Howard, was supposed to be the centerpiece. But that December, everything changed. A Christmas episode put Fonz in the spotlight, and audiences went crazy. When Winkler went on promotional tour, more than 20,000 screaming fans packed into a Dallas department store just to see him. If you find Henry Winkler's story inspiring and touching, don't forget to give this video a like and share it with your friends and family so that more people can learn about his meaningful journey. Every share helps spread the message of resilience, compassion, and understanding. Thank you so much for joining us. Ratings skyrocketed. ABC saw the numbers and began reshaping the show around Fonz. They even considered renaming it Fonz Happy Days. By season 3, he was the lead. For Christmas, the network gave all the cast matching wallets. Winkler received a video camera worth thousands of dollars. Ron Howard later said he felt sidelined on his own show, but Fonz kept going. His leather jacket was shipped to the Smithsonian Institution. His catchphrases of "ah" and "sit on it" were repeated in every home. In 1999, TV Guide ranked him the 4th greatest TV character of all time. When Happy Days ended in 1984, Henry Winkler was one of the most recognizable faces in America. But when the camera stopped rolling, his phone stopped ringing. For nearly 10 years, no one wanted to hire him. He was Fonz and nothing else. Directors couldn't look beyond the leather jacket, the catchphrases, or the cool guy image. Henry says it caused him debilitating emotional pain. Even with a loving family and a roof over his head, he felt lost. He turned down the lead role in Greek, a decision he made to avoid voice casting. But it didn't matter. In every audition room, all they saw was Fonz, and that broke him. But Henry didn't give up. Instead, he changed. While he was still having fun, he quietly started his own company, Fair Dinkum Productions. By 1987, he had a deal with a major studio. He wasn't just acting anymore, he was producing real projects. One of his biggest was MacGyver, which exploded into a hit and even won a Genesis Award in 1991. He also had a hand in the Sure Thing sightings and So Weird. His name started popping up again in credits, not in front of the camera, but behind it. That was enough to keep him going. Then he took another step forward, becoming a director. In 1988, he directed Memories of Me, an emotional film with Billy Crystal. 5 years later, he directed Cop and a half starring Burt Reynolds. It wasn't a blockbuster, but it was produced by Ron Howard's company. Yes, Ron Howard, his old friend from Happy Days. Henry was slowly proving himself again, this time without Fonz. Meanwhile, something unexpected happened. He won an Emmy, not for acting. It was for directing and producing the 1984 CBS special School Break starring Scott Baio. The show dealt with serious teenage issues and won him a Daytime Emmy for Outstanding Children's Special. It was a lifeline, while Hollywood kept rejecting him as an actor. The industry quietly recognized his talent behind the scenes. He continued to work on children's shows and won more awards. They didn't care if he was Fonz or not. They just knew he could tell a story. While all this was going on, his personal life remained rock solid. Henry married Stacy Weitzman in 1978. She has a young son, Jed, who fell in love with Fonzie before Henry came into their lives. They have 2 more children. Zoe was born in 1980, and Max was born in 1983. Now, decades later, they have 6 grandchildren. One of them, 11-year-old Ace, carries on a Henry tradition of collecting shot glasses from every city his grandfather visits. Henry loves taking them all to shows and dinners. When asked the secret to their marriage, he said it was about listening, not just loving. But behind the charm and success, Henry carried a secret pain from his childhood. One night when Jed was struggling with his schoolwork, Henry scolded him, telling him to live up to his potential. It felt strangely familiar. That's when he and Stacy took Jed for testing. The diagnosis dyslexia, and suddenly everything became clear. Henry realized at 31 that he had it too. All those years of struggling in school, all the screaming, the shame, the self-doubt. It wasn't laziness. It was something with a name. He was angry. All that suffering I'd gone through was for nothing, he said. While playing the coolest guy on TV, he was quietly failing at script readings, missing lines, fumbling through scripts, feeling like a fraud. His parents, who had escaped Nazi Germany, expected perfection. Instead, they called him lazy and stupid. The truth he now knew was very different, and it changed him. The diagnosis not only healed him, but also motivated him. Both of his children, Zoe and Max, were later diagnosed with dyslexia. He became a loud, proud voice for dyslexia awareness, determined to make sure no child had to go through what he had. And then he went even further. In 1990, Henry and Stacy teamed up with Steven Spielberg and Kate Capshaw to launch the Children's Action Network. Their mission is to help children get vaccinated and find adoptive families. Over the years, they have helped more than 200,000 children get vaccinated. That work has earned them the Norma Zarki Humanitarian Award. Henry didn't just survive in Hollywood. He found a way to make it work for something bigger. And then Adam Sandler came along. On December 3rd, 1994, Sandler sang the song Chanukah on Saturday Night Live and mentioned that Fonz was 1/4 Jewish. That little joke changed everything. Henry called Sandler to thank him. That call turned into a friendship. That friendship turned into a lifeline. 4 years later, it saved his career. In 1998, Sandler was filming The Waterboy when disaster struck. His actor coach Clean dropped out at the last minute. At 11:30 p.m., Sandler called Winkler in a panic. "Henry, I need you to do me a favor," he said. Winkler didn't hesitate. He shaved, drove to the set, and sat in makeup until 3:30 a.m. That overnight run led to a box office explosion. The Waterboy made $190 million worldwide on a $20 million budget. That's insane. Winkler later joked that while Sandler gave Maseratis to his adult co-stars, all he got in return was a cookie. But the real gift was something else. He came back. That role led to many more roles for Sandler. He appeared in Little Nicky Click You Don't Mess with the Zohan and Sandy Wexler. But it wasn't all comedy. Winkler finally had the space to act again, and that space opened new doors. In 2003, Arrested Development brought him a new kind of spotlight. He was only supposed to appear once, but his character Barry Zuckerkorn, a hilariously bad lawyer, became a regular. Winkler stayed for 5 years and 32 episodes. The show was filled with clever jokes. In one scene, Barry jumps over a shark on a pier, a reference to the infamous Fonz moment that coined the term jumping the shark. Then they brought in Scott Baio to replace Barry, just like on Happy Days. Baio even said, "This isn't the first time I've replaced Barry." Fans loved it. While he leaned toward comedy, Winkler also reminded the world that he could do drama. On The Practice from 1999 to 2000, he played Dr. Henry Olsen, a role that was emotionally serious. The role earned him an Emmy nomination, his first serious nomination in nearly 20 years. It came at a time when he was struggling to escape Fonzie's shadow. And it worked. But Winkler didn't stop at surprising people. On Parks and Recreation, he played Dr. Lou Saperstein, a careless father who loves two of the show's wildest characters too much. Jean-Ralphio and Mona Lisa are chaotic, and he encourages it all. When Mona Lisa screams, "I've never done anything wrong," he responds immediately, "I know that and I love you." His parenting style is a disaster, but it makes for perfect comedy. He even tries to ruin Tom Haverford's business because of a fake story his kids told him. And in the epilogue, he helps them fake their own deaths to open a casino in Tajikistan. It's the kind of insane support that only Winkler could make believable and funny. Behind the camera, something else was going on. In 2003, he signed a small contract to write 2 children's books. Those 2 books became a franchise. Hank Zipzer, a series about a dyslexic child, grew to 17 books. Then here's Hank with 12 more. Then Ghost Buddies, Alien Superstar, and Detective Duck. 38 books in all. The BBC even turned Hank Zipzer into a show. And Winkler plays Mr. Rock, a teacher based on someone who helped him as a child. The Christmas special aired in 2016. In 2022, HBO Max began streaming the entire show. His story has reached children around the world. Many, like Winkler, have struggled with dyslexia. Then there was Barry. In 2016, Bill Hader asked HBO if they could audition for Winkler, when Winkler heard he worked with his son Max to prepare. The character of Gene Cousineau was supposed to be cold and cynical, but Winkler brought heart to the role. He made Gene more human, still selfish, but with soul. That performance finally earned him his first Emmy in 2018. He had waited 43 years. When he took the stage, he said, "I wrote this 43 years ago." The crowd stood up. Then he added a line that silenced the room. "If you sit at the table long enough, the chips will come to you. And tonight, I had to clear the table." He only had 19 seconds to speak, but he made every second count. The pandemic delayed Barry's 3rd season. Production stopped in March 2020. It took 2 years to restart. By the time filming resumes in 2022, Winkler will be in his mid-70s and working under strict COVID protocols. Fewer people on set, constant testing, no audience. But it was worth it. Season 3 aired to positive reviews. Winkler continued to deliver strong performances, balancing dark comedy with real emotion. The awards that followed included 2 Critics Awards, 4 Emmy nominations, 4 SAG nominations, and 3 Golden Globe nominations. The character's grief, guilt, and complex growth have made Gene one of the most memorable characters on TV. In September 2011, something special happened to Henry Winkler. Queen Elizabeth II honored him with an OBE, an honorary officer of the Order of the British Empire. That's not something many Americans have received, but Winkler didn't receive the award because of the forum. He received it for helping children in the UK who struggle with dyslexia and learning differences. This wasn't just a one-time visit. He has spent many years working with British schools. He is a campaign ambassador for My Way, a project that shows children learn differently. The project is supported by the government and is organized by a children's newspaper called First News. Winkler is deeply involved with this cause because he understands the struggle. He was not diagnosed with dyslexia until he was 31. So when he spoke to children at schools like Howard Primary School in Cudden or on his visits to Belfast, he was not just another celebrity. He was someone who had been there. Children listened because they saw someone like themselves. His message was simple. You are not being hurt. You just learn differently. The message spoken from experience left a real mark. Abi was not just about fame. It was about the lives he touched and changed. That empathy carried over into his personal life, too. Winkler grew up feeling misunderstood. His dyslexia went unnoticed for years, and it affected the way his parents treated him. So when he became a father, he chose to do things differently. He married Stacy Weitzman in 1978. They raised 3 children, Zoe, born in 1980, Max, born in 1983, and Jed, Stacy's son from a previous relationship. Winkler once said, "I like the idea of being able to listen and not copy my parents." That idea also shows in the way he treats his grandchildren. He has 6 grandchildren now: India, Ace, Lulu, Jules, Gus, and Francis Joan, with a 7th on the way. When little Ace wants to go to McDonald's, Winkler doesn't just take him. He first calls Ace's mother, Zoe, to see if she's okay. He still respects her role as a parent. There's one story about Max that Winkler still remembers. Max did his homework while listening to music. At first, Henry didn't understand, but then he realized that maybe the music wasn't a distraction. Maybe it helped Max block out the noise of the world. That changed the way he thought about studying. He saw that his child had his own way of focusing, just like he did. Zoe had her own struggles. She was the last one in her class to read. But today, she is a preschool teacher in Santa Monica. She has turned that hardship into something powerful. Winkler's love goes beyond grades or roles. One of his grandchildren loves Barbie dolls and sometimes wears dresses. Some might raise an eyebrow. Winkler doesn't. He just smiles and says, "Get in your canoe and go down that river." To him, it's simple. Every child deserves to be loved exactly as they are. Although this sad news leaves a void in Henry Winkler's heart that is difficult to fill, he remains an example of strength, compassion, and resilience. His contributions to art, to children, to the community remain valuable and continue to spread. In his pain, he is not alone. Millions of fans around the world continue to follow, share, and send him their deepest sympathy. Because more than anyone else, Henry Winkler is more than just an actor. He is a symbol of kindness, and kindness never dies. If the story of Henry Winkler has touched your heart, please like and leave a comment to share your feelings. Don't forget to share this video to spread the message of perseverance, kindness, and the importance of understanding each other. Every view, every share helps meaningful stories like this become more widely known. Thank you for your companionship and support.